So, welcome everybody to the second GED Testing Tips webinar. Today we're going to talk about sort of an overview of the entire test. And then next week we're going to get into some particulars of various kinds of tests. So Carla, I think your mic is on, so I'm going to be able to hear you when you talk, so that's good. Say something to make sure though.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. All right. So if you'll mute it now for me, that way we won't get picking up any background noise or static or anything like that. And then when you're ready to say something, you can just unmute it. Hold on a second. Looks like having a slight problem. I'm gonna wheel around. Yeah. We good? Okay, Oscar's getting in. Matthew, how are you? Nice to see you. Well, virtually. Matthew, let me know you can hear me. Type a yes into the chat box. Or Y, something like that, so that I can tell you can hear me. Privacy error. That's not good.
Yeah, I know.
All right, what we might do is just copy this into. Copy. All right, guys. 1 sec. We're dealing with a little technological issue. So hold on 1 sec.
I'll be right there. I'll hear my phone.
Okay.
That's weird. That was a crypto thing. Watch that. Like it's on the wall.
All right, Matthew, is that you with your mic on? Can we hear you?
Oh yeah, you can hear me.
Perfect. Okay.
I think.
Yep, we can.
Okay.
So mute it for now, okay? So we don't get background noise and stuff. And then when you want to talk, just go up there and unmute it, and then you can talk.
Oh, okay.
Sound good? Control B. There we go. Okay, we just have to use a different. Yeah, I just used Internet Explorer for now. All right, and Oscar's coming in too. So yeah, if you guys will just mute your sound for now, that way we won't get feedback and stuff. You can just go up here to the little thing that has and then just click down and off. All right, so I don't know if you guys want to have your own notes and stuff like that. We're going to talk about the 4 tests, kind of a general overview of each test, and then we're going to vote on what test we want to start tackling next session. So then the idea is to do like a mini lesson about like a particular topic, whatever the say we're doing social studies, we might be talking about I don't know, World War II or something like that. We'll do a little mini lesson about World War II and some things that had to do with World War II, and then we might do a little practice test. So we'll do that kind of chunking every time, so that we can practice a little bit. You guys get used to what the test is going to be like, and that sort of thing. So we do have we'll have a little bit of homework at the end of this. It's just a quick math section, so that I can start planning for the math and what we need to do for the math. It's just a couple of questions that you can answer for the math. So let's start with talking about the actual test, right? So there are 4 tests. You guys probably already know this because you took the practice one, but the practice one is not the same length or has all the same types of questions as the actual GED. It's shorter so that you can do it in a more compressed amount of time. So the 4 tests, right? The first one is these aren't in any order or anything, but the first one is going to be math that we're going to talk about. It's 115 minutes total. There are 2 parts with a 3-minute break in the middle of it. It does allow you to have a calculator, although see it has like a specific type of calculator that it has in mind. So Diane over at Pickens, when you go actually take the test, has these calculators there for you. You can also use the one on screen, but I don't know. It's kind of I don't know if you guys like that or not. What are your opinions about the calculator on the screen? Did you try it in the?
Yeah, it's not so helpful.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Oscar says it's crap. What do you think, Alejandro?
I like it.
Alejandro's giving me a no. Alejandro's a no too. Carla, Matthew, did you use the calculator in the math section when you're doing the pre-test? Was it okay? Was it helpful or was it crappy?
Yes, I did.
Did it work okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. So if you want to use that, there's going to be one on the actual test too, in the same way in the upper corner or whatever for it. Um, but Diana will also give you a calculator so that you can use yourself too. And it's more like the calculators that you've seen in math classes. That's like a TI. You guys probably used what do you guys use? Like a 30 or 40? This is a special kind of one like that. Okay, so there allows a calculator. You'll see the calculator again in the science section too. But for social studies, it's 90 minutes, so it's not quite as long. It's an hour and a half. It's got two parts, but it doesn't have any breaks. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but most of the time when you go to take the test, you can do 2 a day. So think about when you're planning on what tests to do what days. When you finally get to the end of this, think about the time frame here. Like if you want to do the language arts one, that's going to be a long one. So you might want to pair that with social studies or science because those are the shorter ones. Doing language arts and then math, that's a lot of testing in a day. But for part of the social studies, you'll be talking about graphs and charts and stuff, so it allows you to use a calculator when it talks about. I'm trying to remember the thing. What's the graph? What's the name of the graph that goes like a? I need a math person here for this. I can't believe I'm blanking on this. But kind of, it's where you have a normal distribution. So where you have like a test that you've given to somebody, and 50% of the people should score this kind of level. 68% of the people should score within the normal range, right? One standard deviation above or below. So you'll be doing some of that in social studies too. So they give you a calculator for that. For science, it's also 90 minutes, also no breaks. There are 2 short answer sections. And then there's like multiple choice questions. So, the 2 short answer sections are generally designed to be about 10 minutes apiece. So they're essentially a paragraph or so, of kind of an answer is what they're looking for. So, and the science one also has a calculator for the equations and, for the physics-based stuff that you have to know, So knowing the formulas can be helpful, although I'm not sure that it's totally necessary. It's like if you know what velocity is, stuff like that, that could help you on the science test. And then on the language arts one, it's both the reading part of things and writing. And if you'll notice, even in the social studies, even in the science, there's some reading and writing. You're going to have to have a sort of longer answer in science. You're going to write sort of like a little mini essay in social studies. So even in social studies and science, you're still going to be using the same skills. They'll just be different content. But the reasoning language arts one is the long one because it's got an essay in there. So it's 150 minutes. And it's got 3 sections, one of which is an essay. And the goal here is to measure your reading and writing ability. And this is the important part, how you use evidence to support an argument. That's what the essay is going to be. It's going to ask you to argue something using evidence. So all you have to realize with the essay part is just make sure that when you're explaining your answer, are dogs or cats better? You're going to say dogs are better because they are pack animals and they love to be around people, and cats don't care about you. They'll poop in your shoe. They don't care, right? So, yes, Matthew, what's up? You clicking on a raised hand?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
How much do we need to score on the GED in order to pass it?
Each test has a minimum score of 150 or better to pass.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I think the scores go up to close to 200. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get 200 yet. That might be like a perfect score. But you want
because it was like that on the pre-test, so I was just wondering if that was like with the real test too.
Right, yeah. The pre-test, the scores that it gives you are mirrored with the actual test. So you want to get 150 or better to pass, and then in the pre-test, they'll categorize you as too close to call, which means that you might get like a 149 on the first time out on that test, and which means that if you answered one more question right, you would be at a 150.
Oh, okay.
So that's what those numbers mean that the first time we tested.
And for like you said, they don't check scores, right? like when you pass a test, like when you go up apply to college, they don't look at like the score you got for that certain test, or do they?
Oscar was asking if can you guys hear him? I don't know if you can or not, but he was asking if you have a certain score on a certain test. Can colleges see that score? And the answer is no. They just know that you passed it.
Okay.
All right. All right. Any other questions before we move on? Those are two good ones so far. Okay, so let's talk about question types then. There are basically 4 question types plus the essay things, right? So the multiple choice one will have answers A through D. So there'll be 4 answer choices, which means that each answer choice will be right 25% of the time over the course of the test. So it used to be people would just say pick C, right? But that's not true because A will be right 25% of the time, B will be right 25% of the time. So when you are guessing on a particular question, what you probably want to do is pick a letter of the day, whichever letter you want it to be that day, and guess that letter if you're like totally guessing. Of course, if you can eliminate and get down to 2 answers, then that's better than just like totally guessing. But if you have to totally guess because you're running out of time or whatever, pick all A's, right? Or all B's, or all C's, or all D's. Just like we were doing for the ACT, if you got that advice for the ACT, same advice. Some multiple choice will be like drop downs where you click a button and there will be 4 answers in there and they'll be kind of longer like phrases. Some of them will be like the multiple choice you see on the ACT or on the old TCAPs that you guys used to do where you just they're like little buttons when you click a button. For fill in the blanks, they're usually a word or maybe 3 words, so it's a short kind of answer thing. So they're generally not too long. The hotspot questions are where you have like a picture or a chart and it's going to have you click on a specific area. Do you guys remember doing this from the test? Hey guys, we're going to go back. Just clicking on things. We're going to I wanted to be able to see my presentation there. Hold on. There we go. So you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, right? So if you click on something, you can't really like screw anything up, but you can make my face giant. But then I can't see the question types. The other one are drag and drop ones, right? Which are good for people like me who are visual people. I don't know if you guys are visual learners out there, or if you're auditory, or if you're kinesthetic, but I'm a visual person, so I like the drag and drop ones because it helps me to eliminate answers too because I'm dragging as I'm thinking about things. And so you'll kind of see those as well. We won't be able to practice those very often because we're going to have to use paper because we can't. There's only the practice tests and stuff, so we won't be able to practice the drag and drop stuff, but know it's there. All right, so here's another place where you might be taking notes. I don't know if you are or not, but a couple of tips. You need to eat well before testing. This also implies that you've slept well the night before. Those are 2 important things. I tell people stories a lot about the ACT where I took the ACT twice, and the second time I had the flu, and so the second time I got the exact same score as the first time because I was feeling bad. I probably could have scored a little higher on the ACT in the second time, but I wasn't feeling well the first time. So make sure you sleep well the night before, and then make sure when you get up in the morning before you test that you have protein. The reason why you want protein is because that is the longest lasting kind of energy thing. If you have sugar and stuff in the morning, all these tests are 90 minutes at least. So, after an hour, you're going to have the crash of the sugar. So you don't want to do the sugar stuff right before you test, right? If you're a caffeine person, like you need coffee in the morning and stuff like that, you want to have your normal morning routine, just add some protein in there. Throw in some eggs or something, some cheese maybe. Okay? The second thing is to pace yourself. The problem with time tests is that you can't spend too much time on any one question. The problem that a lot of students get into is that they'll spend 3, 4, 5 minutes on one particular question. And what that means is that they're missing time on other questions that are probably a lot easier. They don't put them in like order of most difficult to easiest or easiest to most difficult. They're kind of all mixed in there. So you got to like learn to take a look at it, think about it for a while, give it your best shot, and then move on. So you can't spend more than like 1 or 2 minutes on any one thing, except for the essays, obviously. But like for the other things, you can't spend too much time on any of those questions because this is true. The easiest question might be the last one, and you could have answered that in 10 seconds, right? The other one is to use your resources. For math and science and social studies, you have a calculator. I mean, you're going to use it most on the math, but you'll have it there for you. And then for the social studies and the English stuff, they'll have texts for you to refer back to. So make sure you use those. It does have a highlighting feature that you can use if you're like an annotator, if you like to write on things like I do, because it helps me remember. I'm kind of a slow reader, so I like to annotate so I remember better. And so you can highlight the texts as you're reading it online, when you're actually doing the test. So if you're a highlighting person and we're doing practice stuff, use a highlighter. Use whatever kind of annotating devices you want to use. And then I don't know how many of you have high anxiety about tests in general. Oscar's good. Are you anxious about tests? You get all like nervous?
Sometimes.
Carla, how about you? You get a nervous person about tests?
Somewhat, I guess.
Somewhat. What about you, Matthew?
No, not really.
No?
I,
Okay.
I like taking tests.
Okay. You like it. Matthew's going to enjoy the
Pretty
GED
cool.
experience. If you have like a lot of test anxiety, I have a lot of good strategies for you to use, for relaxation stuff. It doesn't sound like anybody in the webinar currently has them, but if you're out there watching this recorded and you need some relaxation techniques, I have a lot that's around testing. I know lots of people who are really nervous about tests, especially when they're high stakes like this, like really strong pass or fail kind of stuff. So that can happen. All right, so we're done with the sort of general outline of things. We have about 10 minutes left in the webinar. So, the next part we're going to get into, we could, if you guys vote on the English and writing, we will, I have some rules for things and I have some things to teach, right? So we have different things to go over here. And I have the same thing for math and for science and for social studies. So you tell me what we should start with. What you want to think about probably before you answer is, like what your lowest score is, what the score is that you're that you want to work on the most. If we get like 4 different answers, then I'll probably pick one to do as a general one, and then I'll work with you specifically on the other ones. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm just going to go in alphabetical order here. So Alejandro, you get notepad number 6. Carla, you get notepad number 7. Matthew, you get notepad number 8. Oscar, you get notepad number 9. Type in there into your notepad. You can just type in right now. You can change the font, I guess, and the color if you want. But type in there what test that you would like to take, or like what section of the test you would like to start on for next session. We can be English and writing. We can do science. We can do social studies. We can do math.
Which ones would we like to start?
Where you would like to start. We got 3 votes for math, so math is pretty popular. All right, so we got 4 votes for math. So we will do some math practice next time. So the good part about that is that we have some, math in big letters. Definitely math from Oscar. I have some practice stuff to give you. Miss Elliot and I were talking about like sort of common problems that people might be experiencing in math. So I have sort of like a little pretest for you to do between now and next one. So now that we said math, I'm thinking about it now. And we might need to do a little more pretesting before we're able to do math. So let's do this if this is okay with the group. Let's start with English and stuff for next time. And then I think what I'll try and do is alternate every week. We might, I think, need to do 2 sort of practice things for the math in order for me to know like what things we should start studying. Is that okay with everybody? Carla, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, math's okay. Is that okay with you? Okay. So then we'll kind of alternate math, English from now until we're ready. Some of you are going to be ready to take the tests relatively soon. Others of you are going to need a lot of study time. It's okay. Whatever level you're at is fine. So we're just going to try and do a little bit of practice every week until some people might be with us for a month. Some people might be with us till the end of the year, depending on when you're taking your tests and stuff. So Carla and Matthew, if you will talk to Miss Geyer about the practice tests, I'm I'm going to call her as soon as we're done here, and she'll print you out a copy since I'm over at um, Gateway today. And then for the Gateway guys, I've got some practice stuff. So if you're out there and you're watching this as a recording, check with one of the secretaries for whatever site you go to, and I'm going to leave some copies of the practice. I just want you to do your best on it, answer the questions, and then next time we meet, I'm going to collect them, and then the time after that, we're going to do math. So then I'll be able to take a look at the scores and see how we did and get all that stuff going. Okay? All right, so what questions do you have in general about the test before we break for the day? About the general tips, about the question types, about the sections of the test.
What if you don't pass the test?
Excellent question.
Do you like pay again?
Excellent question. There are, you get to take the test 3 times before you have to pay full price again, right? So say you do math, right? And you take it for, you have to pay $37.50 off the bat, right? You take your math and you don't pass it. You get like a 149. So you're really close and you're like, man, if I just got 2 more questions right, I would do it. So I want to take it again immediately. You get like half off the next test and you can take it whenever you want. And then after you've done that twice, then you have to wait a month. So you get like 2 tests a month, basically, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
that lady, that
Okay.
GED lady from Pickens, she
Mhm.
came to Hinkley before, and she told me that it was gonna be free for us.
It kind of depends on where you're at in the district as to they have Goodwill paying for it over at Hinkley. We're trying to find funding sources. That's what Mr. Kearney's working on right now, is trying to find some businesses to sponsor, some GED tests.
Will it still include me? As in, like, if I go try it out, would it still include me, or am I considered like out of Hinkley already?
You'd be considered out of Hinkley already, yeah. So if you are worried about the money thing, you might want to wait for a month or so until, Mr. Kearney sees if he can get some funds for the GED thing. If you know that you're ready to pass a test, you can go take it at any time, So you can do like 1 test a month if you wanted to, or 1 test a week, or
the first one free?
no, they're all $37.50.
They're all $37.50.
As of right now, yeah. So hopefully we'll get some money in here. I got some in for the practice test. Those are like $6, so I got some money in for that. But for this $37.50, we haven't been successful yet, unfortunately. So if you guys know of anybody who wants to sponsor GED stuff, let me know and I'll contact them and we'll see if we can get some money in there.
So what was that thing that you said about the first 3 tests, or the first 3 tests being free or something like that?
You get after you take the first test, you get like half off the second one. And then it'll reset again for a month. So so if you don't pass but you're close on any one of the tests, you can take it again for half off. Good question, Carla. Anybody else? What questions do you have about the tests
I
or
have a
paying? Question types? Go ahead, Matthew.
What if we say I pass the math test but don't pass the social studies test? Do I have to take the math test again, or is
Nope.
that
They
finished?
count them as 4 separate tests. So as soon as you pass one, then you're done, right? And so a lot of people, math is their most difficult one, right? This may not be you guys, but for a lot of people, math's the most difficult one. So a lot of people start with like social studies and English. Those are, if they score well in one, they probably score well in the other one. So a lot of people start with those and sort of get those out of the way, right? And then go and then study for the science and math, and then go back and take the math. So once you're done, you're done. And we had our first person pass all 4 this year last week or yesterday. And so she was telling me that she did it language arts, social studies, science, math. That was the way she did it, and she did it over 3 days. She did language arts and social studies one day, science one day, and math the last day.
So when she went over there to our school, she was telling us that it was free and stuff, right? So what's it called? So how was it free for Hinkley? She was telling us it's gonna be free for the GED at Hinkley. Like, what's the difference?
They have Goodwill that's over there, and I think that's the people that are paying for it. So it's not Hinkley itself; it's like one of the programs that's there at Hinkley.
Okay, so she told me that what did she tell me? That they were telling me to get a GED, right? So is that like coming from Hinkley to like are they sending me to go get the GED, or was she coming? Like, I don't get that. That's what I really get. How is it? Yeah, like, how is it free? Because they were telling me that it's free from Hinkley, but I mean,
You were expecting to come here and have it be free.
Yeah, I was
sounds like.
expecting like for them to like come over here
Yeah.
and then still be free.
Right.
Or was Hinkley actually sending me to get the GED and that was being free right there?
I'm not sure because I wasn't there at the conversation, but you and I should talk afterwards and we'll kind of figure it out.
Okay.
You know, maybe ask Diane about it.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else about the test or question types or general tips? No? Okay. So if you're out there watching this as a recording and you have a question, you know, let me know. You can call, you can text, you can email. In the same place that you got the webinar link, you will find my name in the bottom left-hand corner. You know, so feel free to call or text or email. All right. Well, for those of you that showed up, thanks a lot. And for those of you watching the recording, make sure that you let me know when you have questions. Next week, we'll start off with a little bit of English, and then remember to do the practice test. It's like 5 problems, so it's not a lot, but I need to know like what you know about math so that I can kind of tailor what the math thing is going to look like. Okay. So make sure that you talk to Ms. Geyer right after this, those of you at Central, and then those of you at Gateway, talk to Ms. Snyder if you're watching this later on, and get that practice math thing so that I can see kind of where we're at. All right, guys, have a good week and take care.